Hello, everyone. Happy triple witching quarterly OPEX Friday. How is everyone doing? Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sterling. Yeah, I wish we had the day off today, though. Come on. Actually, I'm not going to do much with the markets today, besides to work on the newsletter. And this is one of my four least favorite trading days. Not worth it to do anything short term for me. Want to get this out of the way. Markets have want to see what happens next week, especially. That's 5.9 trillion triple witching OPEX. Good morning, David. Good morning, Bull Strike Cheetah. Good morning, Jacob. What else do we have here? Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Tony. So, hope everyone is having a wonderful day so far. Fed sounded like he was like trying to apply to be the next Fed chair for Trump this morning with his comments. Cutting in July, we can always increase in the future. Tariffs won't have any much effect on anything. Sounded like a complete job application for a Trump Fed chair. So we'll have to see if that was his intention. But we had Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index coming out, and this is -1 coming in at -4. Employment contracting. New orders weaker than prior. Prices paid, big drop in there. That was strange. How big a drop prices paid were, and that's actually contractory. So very interesting there. Regional index. We have rig counts and Fed balance sheet. So not much today. Not much besides, we still got the conflict going on. What comes out of the White House, and then OPEX, which will be the major driver unless some news cycle comes out of the White House. That's what I'm pretty much skipping today. So that's where we sit. S&P 500. You got Tesla up, Amazon up a bit. There you go. We got some of the more green buying today, except for Accenture and IBM. So green Friday with the OPEX. Let's just refresh this. Only basic materials is slightly negative. Everything else green, led by consumer cyclical. Fed watch. Let's see if Waller's comments had anything on this. I doubt this dropped because you had one Fed. It dropped a little. Only 87% for the pause in July. Remember, that's all the way at the end of July. So we got a long way to go. How many days? 40 days. A lot can happen between now and then. Fear and greed still in neutral mode. Schiller PE still 36.55. Earnings. Kroger, which missed on revenue. I was wanting to look into that a bit more. Haven't had time yet. Going to see what they are commenting on. But the Accenture, I guess that's the reason they're down on their earnings. I did not look at CarMax. Again, that wraps up this week in earnings. Very light week. Next week's also a very light week in earnings. All right, who else do we have? Where else? Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, Rick. Let's see. U.S. tariff hikes on small packages from China caused a 40% drop in shipments in May a year ago. Interesting. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Harold. You love going to the gym before trading and Eastern time better than looking at screen first thing. Yeah, I'm getting up at, today I was up at 3:30, and I can't work out that early. My body does not work for working out at 3:30 in the morning. Good morning, Anissa. So I have to wait for a midday break. All right. What do we got going on with the markets into this triple witching Friday? We had a sell-off yesterday with, futures were open limited hours. Stocks were closed, had a sell-off. Already bounced back from that. Came down to the bottom of the rotation zone, rotating back up. Not much has changed from the prior levels. I'm still looking at any pullback about 60-20. 60-50, 60-55 is very key right in here. If we rally, the next level I'm looking at is about 60-75, 60-72 to 60-75, and then 60-100. Again, you got stuff below. You got very strong support, especially around 6,000. on any pullback. I have no idea if there's gonna get pinned or anything else. Really, I'm just gonna pump this up a little hair right to there, about 60, 57, 60, 55. Move down. That's right where we're trading. So again, slight upward sloping, but still caught in a. We're trading just above where we are from a Wednesday, June 11th, all the way back then. It really needs to see what we're going to do. We're getting the cycle tops on the 4 hour. The daily is just stair stepping down. Again, we'll do more of a projection next week of where things are sitting. Because if you look at this, yes, we're making higher lows, holding the rotation zone, but slightly higher lows with a lot of sideways action. And from the weekly perspective, we're trying to double up move the top cycle against very major resistance. We're still in a very major resistance. My advice, don't do stupid today. NASDAQ, same thing. Bottom of the rotation zone held yesterday, coming back up. Key levels, I'm still looking about bumping this down a hair. We're looking closer to 21,850. Minor support coming in about 21,925. Key resistance we're trading against right now, 2035. We break through there. You have another resistance shelf at 2100, and then 22,175 to 22,2. So, and I got a dog snoring in the background. NASDAQ also trading against major resistance area. So we will have to see about how that plays out. Dow, again, whole lot of nowhere. Whole lot of nowhere. Dow on the daily, look at this. We're trading just above where we were trading May 12th. Not much to talk about there. Slight upwards bias. Russell, breaking above this resistance shelf today. We already tapped off this 2159, 2160 area. That's going to be another key resistance area I'm looking at. Should it rally back up there? Again, I'm not doing much today. And then you have the spike high. The only thing that tips me longer term bullish is that we get above 2189 on a daily closing basis. Other than that, major support tested yesterday, 2092, and held. VIX, winding on back down. Winding on back down. I'll be paying more attention to that after option expiration. Yeah, thanks for that. And Kroger was the miss on revenue. Darden Restaurants was a beat. CarMax was a beat. I did not look at CarMax. Stock up 8.32%. Accenture was a beat, but it's down. DAX was a contract roll. I'm still watching for the next rollover play going after we get today out of the way. Yields still stuck in the range. Nothing to talk about there. Again, about 4.35 is support, 4.5 is resistance. 30-year, 4.926. Not much to talk about there. Yields certainly aren't coming down on the 30-year. I mean, they're trading in a range, but they're really not dropping. Dollar index. Coming up to the flattening out rotation zone. So, cycles at the top. So, next week I'm going to be seeing if we're putting in a more substantial bottoming pattern again. I am still looking. It's way tipped too bearish. That does not mean we're not necessarily going to trigger the massive double bottom, but I'm going to be watching to see if we can get some good setups in the dollar index. Or, you know what? I'm doing this. Going to move the euro up there. The euro, which did trigger this double top and not done much since, just pulled back a bit since triggering it. But we're going to be watching for this next week to roll back over potentially. Crude Came close to invalidating the double, but did not. Did not close above the 62.5 on the 4 hour. Remember, this is a 4 hour pattern. And did not spike up above the 75. Remember, I don't move the stop. If you were aggressive, you'd be out. If you were the way I do it with not moving the stop down, the way I've tested out till it gets to the first target, you're not out yet. Do I think this is going to be a successful double? No, I don't. But it's handy to watch and learn. Would I have traded this to the short side? No, and I didn't because of what's going on in the Middle East. But it's a valid pattern, so we're tracking it. Natty Gas, on the other hand, Natty Gas, which we talked about, which came back down the other day. Breakout pattern I love. Retesting, breaking above it, retesting the key support area, and then starting to run. First target was a 62.5. 4.139, we hit it. And now we're backing off. It was also a pretty strong resistance shelf. So I'm watching for the pullback now again to see if there's going to be another pattern because we did not close above the 62.5. Doesn't look like we're going to. This does not mean there won't be another potential short-term trade here. There's may very well be. We got cycles at the top and very overbought. So I'm watching for the pullback and then a trade set up for a secondary reaction back up. We're not there yet. Again, there's a whole lot of nothing today. Things have hit targets. Gold, not much. Sitting at the rotation zone, sitting at a very key support level. Silver, backing off. Finally back to the rotation zone. So next week I'll be looking for another potential setup as long as the support area holds. Sound like a broken record today. Yen inflation figures came out last night. Yen a little bit of weakening off of that. Inflation's really taking a foothold now, more so in Japan. Spiders still have the potential double top. Slight gap up from Wednesday's close. So we'll see if this does rotate back up and get above 602.67 before it triggers the doubles off the table. Okay. Other than that, I'd be looking at, again, this 625 area to 601.50 as very major resistance area. Life is good for one of the 4 rescue dogs. Yes, he's snoring away. Already had his big breakfast. Got his dry food. All the dogs dry food. Well, 3 of the dogs get dry food. They get fresh pet on their dry food. They get sous vide chicken breast, and they get a scoop of wet food, and they get some pumpkin. That's what 3 of them eat, and the other one who can't eat solid food anymore gets sous vide chicken breast, wet food, and fresh pet, the soft fresh pet. So they do pretty good. They have a pretty good life. One of them's already had 2 walks this morning. First one being at 4 a.m. 5:30, we're gapping up today. Key resistance I'm looking at is about 532.65. So, Sterling getting his workouts in. I wish I could do. It's too early though, see, because I do all my market prep and everything else and walk the dogs and feed them and do all my market prep. So I'm up at 3:45 to try to get a work in there before a live stream too. Forget it. I'd be getting up at 2:30 a.m., which I do sometimes if there's stuff going on in the European session. There's no way. There is no way. I used to get up at when I was back in Chicago for many years. I get up at 3:30 a.m. in Chicago, do some stuff with the European Open, and then go be at the gym at 4 a.m. when I was younger. But not anymore. I'm an old fart now. Again, look at these markets. Bitcoin. Look at this. May 18th. Sunday, May 18th. What was the close? What was the close here? 106, 500 roughly. Where are we trading right now? 106. A whole lot of nowhere. Tesla gonna open some Indian showrooms. So it's up today. Still, this is not triggered. This double looks like it's going to be out. It's not officially off the table. Why is it not officially off the table? Because it did not get back above the 75% harmonic. But if it gets back above 329.88, it is off the table and it's never triggered. I'm just watching this channel realistically right now. There's not a whole bunch going on there either. So, is that the theme right now? The theme today is do not force anything. NVIDIA still wedging up. Not much to talk about there. Broadcom went to sleep. We got the little bounce play, the percent beat buy bounce, and could not get above the 62.5 and has gone to sleep. Not invalidated it yet. Break even stop. Not for remaining, but not triggered anything yet. So, just sitting there. Boring, boring, boring. Got to get OPEX out of the way. Amazon still can't get above. Still, we have a minor potential double top in Amazon. A little gap up today. And it hasn't completed the double bottom pattern yet. Yeah, there was always an interesting crowd. I used to see that there's a real interesting crowd when sometimes I get to the gym at 3:30 in Chicago. There's a real, because the gym was open 24 hours. So there was always a real interesting crowd at like 3:30 in the morning. In Belgium, it's apero time now. Well, I wish it was the end of the day. You contract closed under the double. Does that influence you? I agree. The West closed. I'd like to work out before, but super hard. Yeah. September contract closed under the double. Again, this with the thin markets yesterday did not, and this turned very sloppy. No. With the thin markets and the holiday, didn't touch anything with that. Didn't touch anything, and it got into a sloppy pattern, and it's going to be invalidated today anyways. So it didn't influence me. With everything going on this week, I need, again, this OPEX to be out of the way. OPEX out of the way, and that'll free up the markets. Would the typical massive triple witching OPEX day be good for selling OD? It could be. You know, to me personally, that's forcing something. To me, because you can still, the problem is this isn't just OPEX. That's what's mainly holding the market sort of anchored. But the bigger problem is we have the news cycle going on now. You still have a pretty big news cycle with the conflict in the Mideast. Okay? You get positive news out, you get negative news out. If something shocks the market, it can have an effect today. Would I be on a normal OPEX? Yeah, you could be more focused on, selling higher in condors or butterflies or something. Would I do it today? Personally, no. If the news cycle wasn't there, it could be a consideration. I want to keep I'm just giving you personally. I mean, personally, anybody can do anything. I'm not giving trading advice here. What I would do is nothing. Sit on hands and manage current positions. Manage any current position, sit on hands, get this out of the way. Why do I need to force something on a day like this? I don't. I don't personally. So, and again, these are historically some of the worst trading days for patterns, for things can catch you off guard, period, without the news cycle. I've said this. How long have you mean? How long have you been in here, Sterling? For how many years? How many years have I said these are the four triple quad witching days are my four least favorite trading days of the year? The next days are any option expiration. Monthly option expiration are the next worst trading days of the year. And also Fridays, historically, from my own results and pattern testing, have been the worst trading days of the year, especially after the opening time. So, putting all that together, we have a Friday, we have an OPEX, and then you throw in a major news cycle. Guess what? The odds are not in my favor. So when the odds aren't in my favor, I'm not going to do much. Besides, Coco says buy Bitcoin. Yeah, see, you don't need to trade every day. There's some days that you might as well, if you want to research stuff, if you want to manage positions, but you don't need to force things on a day. Well, I don't. Why would I, when historically with all those things I've just listed, the odds are stacked against me? And then the worst thing for me to do would be, hey, let's try this, let's do this. And let's say it's a success. Uh-oh, now do I do it again next OPEX? Do I do it again? And then I start, okay, next one is a loser. Oh, okay, well, forget it. All right. That's why I suggest everybody track your trading results, especially week. And once you get enough, look at it on a monthly basis over many years. Look at it, because I can tell you these OPEX days not good for establishing new positions from my own results. For managing positions, that's another story. I just don't crowd stops on OPEX. Yeah, you've been here for 4 years. How have I ever said, hey, this is a fantastic, let's all pile in on triple witching? No. So, again, that's why you have to figure out, if you're incredibly successful on today's, and option expiration days are your bread and butter days, go for it. If you have solid results on it, you have the best setups, you have the best patterns, the greatest patterns, the most beautiful patterns. If that's for you on OPEX, I'm all for it. Trade the crap out of it. If you have an edge on OPEX is proven and consistent, and you overall have a net winning percentage and a net positive expectancy, which is more important than the winning percentage, by the way. If you have a trade expectancy that's positive on a day like this, go for it. That's based off your results and your setups. That's why there will be people today that consistently make money. It's not my patterns. It's not my setups. So why would I do something that doesn't work for me? It would be it's like lighting money on fire. Not a real good idea. So that's what I'm saying. If you have the setups, you have the patterns, you've proven, hey, OPEX is one of my favorite days to trade. Quarterly OPEX, I just rake the money, and then fantastic, then you trade the crap out of it. You trade the crap out of it. All right. Above this key resistance, so I'd be on personally, if I was going to do something, if we pulled back, I'd be watching 60.50 to 60.55. Looks like it wants to just trend in the open. The magnet I'm going to be watching, just out of curiosity, is 6,100. That returns to potentially 6,100 level. But that's where we sit. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll get some more stuff. That's not true, Coco. No, and not completely disagree. There are different market dynamics, especially on OPEX days. Not any day is easy to trade. And there's not setups every day. For me, I've never found a day that had every day with the great setups. So, with that, I shall talk to everyone next week. and have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend in the summer. See you all next week. Bye for now.